quorum, so we'll proceed. But I only have copy, do you have a copy of the two leases I sent you? The 2000.
Was it attached to the email?
A long time ago.
Well, yeah. Feels like a lot.
Well,
Yeah, I'll pull those up. Oh, so it wasn't attached to the,
recent, I don't know.
our committee meeting. I see Walton Club 2015.
Yes, the official name. Property committee.
Okay, in light of the fact that we don't have copies, why don't we just do the, copy?
You want to switch to change the agenda?
Yeah.
Are we gonna wait for those copies?
Yes, we should show us three copies for you, and then we come back.
All right, I'm good with that.
Did you already ask back up for the copies?
I haven't done it yet.
I don't know what you.
All right.
That's fine, that's fine. I'm just gonna go see if I can find her. Okay, this
Oh,
just happened.
okay.
So she's around.
All right, thank
You
you.
guys want to go see her? Oh, okay.
I think you found it to be real quick, you should just set it up. I don't have a diagram of what the conference is looking like, or how big it is, or.
I know, Deborah Wynn gave a presentation, how the including the drawing?
It might have been on the agenda back then, but I don't have them.
They're not on, but I can. I'll see if I can.
We can hear you back here.
Oh, well, we need.
What's your lights on?
Tests, are they not working?
Sorry.
Well, they weren't on because we don't normally have
Sure.
somebody here, but I'm trying.
Thank you. All right, so, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the beautification committee came to council with the proposition to put a fountain on the square. So it got referred to the property committee, and we're supposed to talk about it and possibly make a recommendation back to the full council.
So it was Deb notified that we were gonna be discussing it today?
I didn't inquire.
Okay, so then I'm guessing no. I mean, I don't, you did? Oh, you did notify. Okay.
But I don't think we have to, it's not that serious. I mean, I walked around the square the other night, we're right on the square, and my thought was, if we improved it, to put it on the corner where the water fountain is, there's a water source there. Already.
Okay.
Northeast.
And have, that angular, piece of sidewalk that's about 8 foot wide, or 6 foot wide. Just do a sidewalk out to the fountain, around the fountain, and maybe onto the, water fountain. And then put 2 concrete bridges that you see around the gazebo.
I think it'd be good to have maybe if we haven't had one, a diagram, rendering of what it actually looks like, because I'm just concerned about, we only have a limited amount of space on the square.
Yeah.
We've already, used a fair amount of it for sidewalks and for benches. We want it to be something that people enjoy, and the fountain, it seemed like it might be something to enjoy, but how much space is it?
I know, it would take up, when we have, craft shows and art walk, people would take up.
Oh, you guys already had this one.
I just.
Oh, we were talking about the leases.
Oh, the leases. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
no, no problem.
Would you like me to see if I can find them?
I can't hear. I think
I got you.
Sorry, I
Thanks,
misheard.
Becca. No, it's okay, I'll take one of those, but that one, so now.
Right, so,
I would think that then, we want her, Deborah, to produce it. I think she may have done something similar to this, but I just don't remember what it looked like. I just want some understanding of how much space it takes up for the city to make that.
I agree.
And it also sounds like you're talking about something additional that we would be doing, like concrete or sidewalk or benches or.
Yeah, make it kind of complete, I
Right.
don't know, to make it something that is
Right.
functional for people. And then, collect pennies, every year. But,
Yeah, who would be responsible for the maintenance? I think they talked about being responsible for the maintenance, because I remember talking, the only thing I think was on bubbles in a fountain and how that's just like such a mess to clean up. But
so,
where were they talking about putting it? On the southwest corner?
I don't recall. If we have a specific location.
So we need more information.
We do. And ultimately, we know that the liability falls on the city, no matter who's promising to maintain it over a period of time, the city is responsible for social repairs like that.
knowing how large it would be and all of that, I don't know if it should have to go to state committee.
Maybe, yeah. Once we have some sort of recommendation, yeah, that's really possible. I mean, it's a tall,
I don't know how big it is.
somebody, you know, you don't want this to happen, it's a child, I want to fall off.
No, plus it hasn't found.
Right.
It would be nice to hear from them about what their decision-making look like, you know, what their experience has been.
Maybe, Carter, city administrator,
I can.
ESA comment on
Okay.
that. So we'll just table that for now, I guess, okay? There's more information?
Yes.
All right, so.
Would we pick it up again to discuss at a later date, or is this the kind of thing that would go to like a study session? I mean, I know it's already been referred here, but.
Yeah.
I think we come back here, and
Okay.
then we make a recommendation, and if the council wants
Okay.
more information, they can send it to the community.
So maybe we could speak directly to
Got some.
Deb about having her come back.
Roland, did you want to say something about the?
Yeah, just a question about how do we interact with you guys for having a conversation? So
Just like
that's,
you do in the-
because Roger, Roger just had this.
Oh, I
problem.
have a couple extra copies of those leases, the
Oh.
last two leases, if you want
Okay.
those.
Oh, thanks.
Just give Elizabeth a call, if she needs. Which one, which
It's,
year is it?
it's 2 pages of the one from 91, and then it's the 3 pages of the one from 2015.
Oh.
They're stapled,
Well,
they're stapled
what-
together.
Rebecca's getting copies as well.
Okay.
So why these specific pages?
That's the entire leases.
Oh, that's the entire, I'm sorry, I thought you were saying that they were like, you know, this.
No, they're not.
No, I'm just telling you that that's all how long they are.
Got it.
Nice.
All right, so should we go pick up the lease now then? Okay.
Well, did anyone want to say anything about the fountain?
Oh, yes, about, I'm on the advisory committee for the Park and Rec, and there is water on every corner of the square.
Okay.
The fountain, or the water fountain right now, the drink fountain is on the northeast corner, but they can connect to the water at any place.
Oh, so that doesn't control.
No, because they have sprinkler systems
All right,
everywhere.
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
It might be, there's water everywhere.
Yeah.
But my first thought was, that would be convenient location, but maybe it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter too much, let's say that way.
Well, that also may, sorry,
Go
Reed.
ahead. No, that was it.
I was gonna say that also might be a better option. I thought she said southwest corner, and since we're talking about, you know, reconfiguring crosswalks and with the downtown, it might be better to talk about a different location.
Southwest, good for the wiener dogs.
Yeah, we need that for the year. and just, more detail.
And then maybe we can get some more
Could have a
information
dog watering
from
fountain.
Mount Pleasant, their experience, their fountain journey.
Do we wanna have bring it back to a work session, Cause I think there's a decision to make a decision, we still want to make a
Well, we can ask the council if they want to do it that way.
Okay, so we have that, put it on the agenda, do it in your property report.
Sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, so we'll have a recommendation, just tell the council to get more information and ask them if they want to do it by work session, or just have it come straight back to a property.
And then at which point we'll invite Becky.
Yeah, we'd have her, whichever way it goes, we'll invite her to the meeting.
Yes.
And expect to have a diagram and more details about what she wants to do.
Yes.
Do you guys wanna talk about the fountain?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
say your name, Ed.
Ed Hep. I didn't hear any conversation about the money involved just
Well-
now. And it seems like, it seems a little funny that there's something for you to consider that has so many not knowns about it. I'm witnessing a committee meeting for the first time, so
Uh-huh.
maybe this is standard, things come before they're really worked out very well.
Well-
Maybe that's great.
The money was going to be fundraised, but that is the only thing that we know, and so it would be helpful to have additional information. The beautification committee is the committee that kind of presented to the council, So there are obviously a lot of considerations, and there's nobody from the beautification committee to speak to it. So that's another reason why we can't really move forward or refer it to safety committee or refer it to Ways and Means if there are gonna be additional costs that are requested from the city, which we don't believe there are. But again, lots of open information that we don't have to make a recommendation right now.
Does someone else have their hand up?
I did. I'm Kathy Snow. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that Pam Kraft has a seat at the table for this or is consulted as far as maintaining that area for the city.
I was gonna talk to her tomorrow morning about it.
Yeah.
Just a
Then I
suggestion
get the
because.
heat, you guys.
Sorry?
Don't.
What?
Don't, cause she'll call and she'll yell at me.
You
Oh,
know,
I will ask him
everyone should
not
be
to do
yelling
that.
at their elected officials, not the people who have been hired by the city. So if you have problems, you can yell at us. That's what I recommend.
So, I think that's a good point. Pam Kraft should be on the conversation since, she maintains, I believe, it's through her that maintains Central Park.
All right, that's a good point.
Yeah, have her, when we invite Deb, we have this next meeting with our council meeting, work session, make sure Pam is aware of it. And has to be there. That's good.
Okay, we're done with the fountain issue. Everybody settled, satisfied? All right. All right, so, I went through both leases a couple times, I did them last night, and I just highlighted some things I thought were relevant or important for us to talk about. I think the Walton Club is just waiting to hear from us. All I know from them, talking to Troy Wall, is that they are interested in a 25-year lease. That's all he said to me. And, so if you look at the 91, 2015 lease, so we have precedent. That lease is 24.78 years. So that's in the first, well, it's built into the date of the lease and the termination date, which is December 31st, 2015. So that's 25 years.
Sorry, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. May I just ask, because it just says Walton Club lease, what specific, is there anything more specific that we're discussing? Are we talking about renewing it? Has there been a request to renew it, and so that's why we're reviewing it, or?
We're reviewing it with the intent to renew it, with the thought to renew it.
Is there anybody from the Walton Club board here to speak? Okay, fine, thank you.
All right, so I'll just keep going until.
Yes?
So I just point that out, that 25 years is not unusual.
Right, for the earlier lease.
Yes, the current lease was 10 years.
Right.
And they were asking for a 25-year lease, so that's why it's relevant.
Okay, they're asking for a 25-year lease.
Look, Troy told me this.
When? What
There's
they
a
ask?
conversation around the Walton Club.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Nothing formal, I haven't received any.
Is that what the request is?
Yes.
or-
Yeah.
Okay. Since we have you guys here, I thought I'd take advantage.
So you have authority to speak on behalf of the board?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes,
We're
thank
able to do
you.
it.
All right. Then number two, the leaseor, meaning the Walton Club, herein should not be obligated to maintain or repair any roads, drives, or bridges that are adjacent to said reservoir, and use of them shall be at the user's peril.
Okay, so you're looking at the earlier lease?
The earlier lease, we'll just go through the things I thought were relevant.
Oh, what section?
Yeah, section 2.
Okay.
So the lessor is the city of Fairfield in this case.
Sorry?
The lessor is the city of Fairfield in this case.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 3, this is minor, it refers to the water board, we don't have a water board anymore. So that's not germane. And then the only other section in this lease that I wanted you to look at was section 11, which mirrors the section 11 of the current lease. It says here, the leasee, which is the Walton Club, herein does not by the acceptance of this lease guarantee and stipulate to save harmless the city of Fairfield, Iowa, as leaseor from any liability which shall be incurred through the leasee's use of these leased premises. That's almost word for word go to the current lease. Let me go look at them. I think it has the same meaning, but it's virtually identical to the current lease. All right. That's all I wanted to point out on that older lease. That the lease was 25 years. Walton Club will take care of the bridge. And they'll assume liability for that bridge.
Well, is that what it's saying?
Well, that's a good question.
Because the way that I
The layperson
see
reading
it,
it
like,
sees it.
the leased premises we know that the leased premises does not include the lake.
Right, we own that. That's another thing about these leases, is that the boundaries aren't very well established. It just says the grounds around the golf cart shed, or the grounds around the clubhouse.
Mhm.
So I don't know where those end.
Mhm.
So
Well,
maybe we
the
need
second-
to clean up that language a little bit.
Right, the
Okay.
second lease does include, I believe, the legal description, so it is more specific than
Mhm.
the current.
It does,
Yep.
that's right.
Anyway, what's your point? You wanna say?
My point is that I would hesitate to say that section 11 says that the lessee is going to hold harmless the city of Fairfield from any liability which shall be incurred over the lake. Because that's not part of the lease.
Right,
premises,
so
right?
if we define the grounds, then I think we'll clean that up.
Well, that's what the legal description does,
Right, okay.
I think.
I haven't read the legal description, but I did. I'm not sure if I would understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
My understanding is that the road and the parking lot is part of the road.
Mm.
And so when we say the city's gonna take care of the road, that includes the parking lot.
Okay.
Is that correct, Melanie? She's
Yeah.
nodding yes.
So,
Do we wanna keep it that way?
well, why are we looking at the current lease?
We are.
Is this the current lease or is it the earlier lease?
2015.
This is the 2015 lease.
Mhm.
All right.
It's right here. Yeah.
All right, because I think didn't you first highlight point for the lease?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now we're moving on to the current lease.
Which has the same
Well-
language, I'm
well-
not sure why, we're talking about precedent. Precedent, is that what you're?
We look at the current lease or the old lease? Which one?
What I wanted you to see on the old lease was that it's a 25-year lease.
Yep.
In that lease, the Walton Club had taken responsibility for repair and maintenance of the bridge.
Okay,
And section 11, it talks about liability.
that's the old lease.
That's the old lease.
The new lease, the one we're under now.
And new lease is only 10 years.
Yes, no,
Why?
10 years.
And?
Okay, and then we talked about what constitutes Walton Club grounds,
Right.
what constitutes area around the cart
Well,
shed.
there's a specific legal description in the new lease.
That's what Elizabeth said, now you have a specific legal description here that maybe lays out specifically what portion of the land
Right.
is.
And paragraph 2 of the current lease is different from paragraph 2 of the old lease.
That's right.
Paragraph 2 of the current lease reads, "The lessor, which is the city of Fairfield, herein shall be obligated to maintain and or repair any roads or bridges that are adjacent to said clubhouse, golf course, reservoir and subdivision, including all city of Fairfield dedicated area, that is streets, bridges, etc." That's the current lease.
That's current lease.
So that's what we're under now, yeah?
And I would also point out, in the legal description, it does say, like, blah, 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 being adjacent to the city reservoir known as Walton Lake. So it does kind of exclude the lake itself.
Right.
Got it, okay.
And all these lots that were put in since then are excluded as well.
Yes, right, that have been developed.
So my note here to myself was, is this up to date? Have we added any additional lots down on the Walton Lake Road that are not included here, that are west of the clubhouse or northwest of the clubhouse? Those 3 or 4 lots got sold 5 or 10 years ago.
Have we sold any lots since this time? 2015 was the last.
I think
date
we
of
had
the
all
lake.
the lots sold as far as building sites of the
Okay.
subdivision.
Yeah.
Prior to this lease.
Okay.
And the old lease in 1991, had other things to play. In the early 90s, there was a very unpopular situation with a combined multi-governmental attempt to consider a 700-acre surface water reservoir and recreational lake over by Lock Ridge that resulted in the city board of water trustees being voted out of existence. And there was a lot of conjecture at the time about whether our reservoir system as we had it before wasn't all going to be up for play if the 700-acre surface water recreational and reservoir lake came to pass. That never did, and so this 91 lease stayed in place with no changes until we reviewed it, and I've reviewed these leases since 1990. I haven't negotiated any of them, but it's what the Walton board wants to do and what the city council wants to do through their liaison. So I'm assuming that's the case now, as far as Walton representatives having talked with the liaison from council, and that's how it's communicated. Am I right about that?
We haven't been directly communicated yet with the new lease, that's why we're
Okay.
here, yeah.
And Tom isn't here, and I don't know if he's talked to anybody over there or not. Fair enough. Tom too is the liaison between the council.
Liaison is Terry Kness, according to the list.
I think it was
Oh,
changed.
maybe it was
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
I have mine crossed out and it says to the hill here.
When did that happen?
Well, whenever I
When she
crossed
was
it out.
appointed.
I got Kness on mine too, but
Yeah, when Mayor first appointed her, we had made those slips out and she asked to be removed because of
Oh.
the conflict.
so it is Terry.
No,
No,
it's Tom
Oh,
too.
it's Tom.
Tom.
It's
Yeah.
Tom.
All right.
Even has himself on his list. I'm guessing, obviously, that there are people who want to speak to this issue. Would now be an appropriate time.
Section
Or-
2, with regard to obligations.
I mean, just with regards to this lease generally, and if there are people who are in favor of it or not in favor of it, I mean, I think that would be helpful
Okay.
for me anyway.
That'd be fun, yeah.
Are there any other points you want to bring up?
I have a couple more
Oh, I'm sorry.
highlights, but I think we can, I'll just go through real quick. So, looking closely at number 2 in the old lease says what the city will not do, and then number 2 in the new lease says what the city will do. And my feeling, we should strike the word bridge from there, the one on the north side of the clubhouse.
Why?
That's what it was in the old leases, and had been for 80 years, so I just thought that that would be appropriate.
So we have a new lease.
We have
wanna
this
go
lease
back-
right here.
Right, the lease that's currently in effect. Why would we go back to the old lease? I suspect that was probably negotiated. I think John may know about this. But I think part of the reason may have
Oh,
been.
but now we're renegotiating.
Right. It could, part of the reason may have been that, there are certain understandings about the city's liability that were clearer from the old lease, that changed, or made more clear from the old lease to the new one. For example, I don't believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I don't believe the city can contract away its liability, can transfer its liability. As shown in the old lease, the lessee, Walton Club, is agreeing to assume all liability.
Well-
And that means that we're transferring liability. I don't think we can do that.
I also would argue
Well,
that in the last lease, the 1991 lease, I mean, it may say that we're not obligated to maintain or repair any roads, drives, or bridges that are adjacent to said reservoir, adjacent to, meaning that don't think that would encompass a bridge that spans the reservoir, because the lessor is leasing the land that is adjacent to the city reservoir. They're not leasing the city reservoir.
Right.
So so you're proposing that we change quite a bit of things. So we're leasing them, I mean, we're not leasing them the lake. So why would we then say that they're responsible for replacing anything over the lake that we're not leasing to them?
Well, it's there for their use.
But it's our liability.
It's still their liability. It's just repair and maintenance, is what I'm suggesting.
John, can we contract away this lease, city's liability?
No.
No,
They
you-
did, period.
That's the shortest answer to that.
That,
But if we transferred the responsibility for repair and maintenance, that's not transfer.
Well, let's start with, one question is, we can't transfer liabilities first. We cannot transfer the liability. That means we're responsible. That means however the bridge is built, if something goes wrong, the city will be sued. The city will be sued. The city's pockets will be, the city, which is
no matter what, the
taxpayers'
city's
money.
gonna be sued. We've got like 50 times the liability coverage
Yeah.
that the Walton Club has, even though the Walton Club has good insurance and errors and omissions for directors and officers. It's not the city, and we've got the deepest pockets, and they know we're gonna be the top name in the lawsuit. So if there's anything that's defective about the bridge or that fails, we're gonna be in it as both the owner and the landlord. That's a give. I think it's naive to think it won't work that way, so we plan for it as a possibility. I know I've seen some of the correspondence circulated in the last 4 months that suggests that this is real simple, that the club will just take over the responsibility and they'll do a hold harmless for the city and they'll do an indemnification agreement with the city. And I promise you, there is not an insurance company that's gonna write that kind of hold harmless or indemnification agreement. And I promise you that ICAP is gonna scoff about it. So as far as what people are suggesting could just work that simply.
Well, no one's suggesting, we're just
that's a
talking about
lie.
this bridge. We're just talking about the bridge here.
Yeah, well, I am
You know,
talking about the bridge.
repair or maintenance, do we wanna transfer it to there, and you're saying we should?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Dirk, I have a question. What changed in the law that in 1991 we could write this in without any problem, and today we can't? What fundamental change in the law has happened?
I think that is actually the same issue because they never owned the lake. So whether or not we allowed them to replace the bridge, I don't know that, I mean, like, we still owned the lake. Like I said, the
No, I
legal
understand the
description.
reasoning, yes.
But the legal description says everything adjacent to the lake. So I'm not sure that anything changed in the law. Maybe we changed the contract to make it a little bit clearer, because clearly it's confusing, right? Like that 1991 contract is confusing, especially if then we allow Walton Lake to replace the bridge.
So that the liability was there anyway?
Yeah,
If
Yeah, it's always been there.
yeah, it's always been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about,
Yeah.
as I understand it, the
Can you
club,
state your name, please?
oh, sorry, Felicity Spalding.
Yeah.
The club originally built the causeways that are out there, is that correct?
The what?
The causeways, the whole, the whole causeway,
So that bridge, that was.
the bridge
originally there.
and the causeway,
Okay,
is that correct?
the causeway, okay, yeah.
Right, so they are, in a sense, so the city is taking over responsibility for something which is built by a private organization.
So I can't speak to what the city council in the past used when they were determining whether or not it was best practice to allow the Walton Golf Course to build their own bridge. I don't think that it is, just in terms of the city's liability. So I'm probably not going to, and you know, every council is different, but I'm probably looking at this, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea, let's continue to do that. So.
Can I kind of, brief?
Yeah, when you're done.
There's two things. One is a Roland's question about what's changed. There hasn't been a lot of statutory change, but the Iowa Supreme Court in the last 35 years has gone pretty much, I'm not gonna say they're anti-city, but they construe liability in tort matters and defective equipment matters and things like that against our towns. They've done it again in the last 12 months. Sidewalks and things like that used to be the responsibility of the adjacent owner, they've made it very clear that it's the city that's going to take the hit on it. And we've been sued a couple times under the latest Supreme Court premises, which don't look like what they used to 30 years ago. So there are changes in the case law at the same time, but not much in the statutory law. So I hope that helps a little bit, but that's
Yeah,
what we've got to
explains it.
watch out for. the other part of this, as far as what's encompassed in
Is that the 5-minute thing, you gotta stop talking?
Call you back. Sorry.
I'm not gonna have a 1 o'clock goal.
I hear you. I have to leave before then. What is within the understanding of the bridge area at Walton Lake and the way that was built and so forth? Walton's always been a tenant. The lake owner has always been the city. They've been both the owner 100% of fee simple title in the whole place. It isn't just the water in the lake that belongs to our city utility, but it's the lake itself, the club, the golf course. The clubhouse itself is comparable to a building on leased land. The lease even talks about if those things at some point in time would need to be removed. Actually, theoretically, they could come in and jack up the building and take the building because it's built on leased land. But other than that, the things that are fixtures on the real estate, which a bridge is going to end up with the city. They're not going to, in the same sense that they could move the clubhouse, be able to jack up the bridge, take it out of the water, take it off of the land, and treat it the same as the structure. So there's a difference between some kinds of structure on land that is leased to them, which has been the way it's been out there for the last 90 years. And something like a bridge, a pump station, other things that are around there that nobody thinks about, but that have been around there always. And that falls on the city, and it should. So, you know, as far as what the leases are about and what's assumed about them, the Walton Club board, if they decided they were going to have a different clubhouse, and I think that's been on their table to talk about things like a different shed to operate the golfing operation out of. I know that's been proposed before and so forth. That would still be theirs to jack up and lift and move if they wanted to do something different with it. But not the same story. I think the city council would have a very long debate with them about whether they could take the bridge out of the lake and off of the shore abutments and so forth.
So-
But, yeah.
I have a question for you, John. So, let's say we change the language here in section 2 to say that the lessor shall not be obligated to maintain and or repair any roads or bridges that are adjacent. I'm talking about if we created a new lease and we said we're not obligated to maintain and or repair any roads or bridges that are adjacent to reservoir subdivision, etc. Would that mean that we are not obligated to repair the bridge that is at issue over Walton Lake?
Doesn't change the fact we're still the owner. We're still gonna get sued.
Because this is adjacent to the reservoir, and that we're not talking about a bridge that's adjacent to the reservoir, and the land that's being leased is not the lake. I mean, right?
Well, it sounds right, but actually the entire area out there that we annexed belongs to the city, except the lots that we sold separately in the subdivision, subject to covenants and a lakeshore easement and DNR rules. So, except for that, the whole place actually is ours as a party in interest that's subject to being a defendant in a lawsuit and a defendant not only as owner but as landlord. And I don't think there's a way out of that as far as tort law, and I don't think there's a way out of that as far as contract law. Right now we're looking at things threatened by the objectors here in both directions. So, you know, one of the things that's occurred to me about this lease is maybe renew it for a short term until we see where we are after we've been sued and district court has been threatened several times, plus the district court appeal remedies that the objectors have can take years. And, you know, if we're gonna be held in suspension for months or years, maybe the lease ought to be temporarily renewed on a year-to-year basis instead, until we get this litigation out of the way, because it's been promised to us. And right now, we've got things pending in the Attorney General's office, the office of the state auditor, as well as the place where this was predictably gonna be to start with the Department of Natural Resources, which is now in inspections and appeals. So all of
I have a
those
question
things.
about that before you keep going.
Yeah.
In the prior lease, the 25-year lease, it was subject to review on an annual basis. So would that cover us in the regard to what you're talking about?
I think it would.
So we could do that and still be safe.
Yeah, you could have that language.
And the other question I had was, what you're telling us is there's no way to carve out the bridge that goes across the lake, or, you know, it's gonna, whatever goes there.
Well, you could
There's no way to carve it
make
out.
any kind of carve out you want, but whether it's enforceable and whether it's insurable are the things that I think we have to have a very clear answer on.
All right.
And I think our own public finance attorneys in Des Moines will say that's not a very good idea. Plus, I think ICAP's gonna probably scoff at it, as I mentioned, and I think Walton Club's own insurers are gonna be hesitant to have a carve-out like that that takes upon themselves one very specific obligation. So that's just my thinking.
All right.
I wonder if we have someone from Walton Club speak to this, they're present.
Well, let's just go through.
And I'm
through this.
still
Just
waiting
because-
I'm waiting for your to be done, and I'd like to address the lease too.
Okay. So we already talked about clubhouse grounds, and I would maybe, is this, you think that's adequate, that description, or the legal description?
Can I speak to the legal
I know you
description?
can't do
honestly
it top of
can't
your
just
head.
look at it and say,
I know, it's
looks
hard.
good to me.
Can I
Maybe we
adopt
need, maybe we need to address that too,
Melanie
in
wants
terms
to
of.
say something.
Melanie, can I please, sorry, and I've been trying to get the computers up so I can show you.
Yeah.
So the legal description that you have there, excludes the lots that were platted and everything that was platted, in 2000. Having looked at that several times, it lumps the lake, the course, the causeway that is over on the east side, the bridge, the 150 feet between the houses on the west side, the parking lot, over by Walton Road. There's a lot of stuff that is all lumped together, that maybe is not part of the course. You know, particularly, I'm gonna say, the 150 feet that's in front of the few lots on the west side. And so, and then thinking of, you know, safety of the public, what areas that we would want public access to, what areas we would not want public access to if it is continuing to be golf, people to golf. I think that it would be good to have a better legal description rather than just saying excluding the lots that we platted, because when we exclude, everything that's left includes a big area. So, and again, if you pull it up on Beacon, you'll see that it's basically 2 or 3 parcels that are left over when you exclude. If you look at that second paragraph of the current lease, it says specifically excluding lots 1 through 5 and lots 7 through 34, plus streets, access tracks, drainage easements. And so if you look at the assessor site, it's 2 or 3 parcels, and it includes a relatively large area, not necessarily everything that I believe that the Walton Club maintains.
So we want a better.
So can we do that within a month?
If you have any, I mean, I can provide a recommendation on what because again, I think the area in front of some of those homes, I can ask what they mow versus what the homeowners mow, and provide a recommendation, but maybe this group can take a Sharpie to a map and say, this is what we want to
Yeah.
do. And then, yes, we can get a legal description for that.
After we draw the Sharpie map.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good.
Since you're up here, I know that we've discussed that, in our Fairfield Forever plan, we
Mhm.
talked about additional development out there.
We did.
Well, or in the Fairfield Forever plan, the idea was maybe in the future, or is that incorrect?
I'm not sure if this area specific
Okay.
was. I know that this, area of town, this stuff there, area east of the course. And, yeah, I mean, both, I would have to look at it,
So
whether.
we wouldn't need to consider carve-outs for any additional lots out there, is what you're saying, like these excluded lots, that's it, that's all that we would need to be thinking about? Or we could, I guess if we're gonna be reviewing it every year, we could just.
Correct, yes, and I mean, having worked in the private sector when the county went through their situations with the rural utility service, I think that's always prudent for both parties to have an escape clause, because you never know what's gonna happen for the city or the course or, you know, whatever. You know, even in the history of the club, when the club burned down, they wanted to renegotiate it in the sixties. So I think it's prudent to have a way to renegotiate it no matter what happens for both the city or the course's benefit.
Okay, thank you.
So number 4, on the new lease.
Oh,
The
new lease,
current-
thank you.
The
Yeah.
current, I just highlighted this because I didn't understand it. The lessor shall not be obligated, as a city, should not be obligated to furnish or financially participate in any repairs to facilities that serve any structure or building adjacent to said reservoir and clubhouse area. Again, that goes back to the definition of clubhouse grounds and the cart shed, I guess, to make it more clear. And then, the other things are trivial. Number 7, a couple times they refer to the finance officer. The city does not have a finance officer, so I thought we should just strike that. And, at the very last phrase.
Well, it says city clerk or finance officer. Yeah, we can strike one, yeah, I mean, I
Just-
think.
I know, he wants a finance officer, maybe it should be in there. But anyway, I'm just,
Yeah.
my initial reaction when I read it was that it was extra words. And then the very last phrase there after the paragraph in number 7, violations will render this lease null and void, and this lease may be immediately terminated. So, I decided whether it will be terminated if you violate that, number 7 paragraph, or leave it as may. It's just a question I had there. That's all I had for the current lease.
Doug?
So, let me just get feedback from the.
Yeah, because
Let me just
Roger
get
has been
feedback
trying,
from
and then
the
somebody in the back
committee
has been trying to get in.
Let me get feedback from the committee first.
Okay, Roger,
Please.
sorry.
Paul.
My feedback is,
Yes.
I would like to hear from the Walton Lake Board,
Okay.
since it's the first time I've had them, or I've seen them present at one of our property committee or a council meeting. So while they're here, and while John's here, he has to leave.
Okay, yeah.
If one of you might speak to what we're discussing, I'd just like to have some input, some idea of what your view is, what we're looking at.
All right, hold that thought, Elizabeth.
I mean, I think if you want to remove finance officer, it's no problem. I mean, I think as far as paying the taxes, I don't mean it's permissive, right? It says that if they don't pay those taxes, or they become past due, it's considered a breach of this lease, may render the lease null and void, and this lease may be immediately terminated. So I don't know, do you think that are you saying that you think that it shouldn't be permissive, it should be shall be terminated?
I thought we should talk about it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, no.
This is, I don't know that we made, I'm not sure what we come out with in terms of recommendations here today at this point.
No, we're not gonna go with
Okay,
it.
but John's gonna be here just a couple more
Sure.
minutes, and we have the board here present, before you have to go to the hearing, that you have to.
Right.
Make argument for the city. Is there any board, there's 3 board members at least present, I think.
So-
Two of us.
You come up to
Two
the
left. Yes, please.
microphone, please. I know it's not on, but if you could come closer to us. I appreciate it.
You know, if there's anything that we've discussed that you wanna speak to,
Tell us,
or.
tell us your name and what your position is with the board, that sort of thing.
I'm Jen Stever, I'm the secretary of the board.
All right, so you're the one that sent the email to us.
Yep.
Okay,
Aileen Metcalf, I'm the board member.
all right.
I guess I don't know what the question is, we were just here because we knew the lease was gonna be discussed. Obviously, we approved the lease 10 years ago when we were assigned, so, so approving that old lease, we were good with, when it was signed in 2015.
I don't think we're making any recommendations for any changes, except we would like 25 years. And it's always been in there that it could be adjusted annually if it was needed to be, but,
What about maintenance and repair of various facilities?
well, I think you spoke to that. I mean,
What's your position as the board?
Again, it's leased ground, so it's like, if you owned a home and you rented that home out, you don't expect the tenant to put a new roof on the house, right? You're the owner, you do it, so it makes sense to me how the lease is wrote, we lease the ground, we're responsible for the buildings, we get that. But the bridge isn't something, we don't own that ground that the bridge sits on, that wasn't spelled out in this original lease, so we are under the understanding that the city is responsible for it. The decisions that you've made are gonna meet they meet the city, insurance guidelines, they're gonna meet our insurance guidelines, so that's really important. I know our insurance provider wants to make sure that that bridge is approved, so, because of liability, so, yeah. And as far as the buildings go, we just replaced a cart shed, so it's clear to us in the lease what we're responsible for.
Okay.
Do you think that, is there like more clarification that should be included in the lease for the clubhouse area? I know that's been brought up, sounds like you guys understand what the clubhouse area is, but if there's.
Yeah, so I guess that would be something that I would refer to an attorney for. Again, anything that changes, we're gonna have to have an attorney look at it and explain it to us, that's not my job. I'm
Even
not
if
an
we could
attorney.
just like define it, you know, if it's
Yeah.
easy to define or something, I
Yeah.
don't know, okay.
Yeah.
If we did get a map and do the Sharpie drawing like Melanie suggested,
Yeah,
then we would share that with you to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I think I like that idea, actually.
Let's not make our final decision.
No, I'm just
No, no, no.
suggesting.
yeah,
Make the
yeah.
suggestion.
I mean, John says that's what we need to do, I'm
Yeah.
gonna trust John.
I'm not making a motion to Sharpie anything
Not
yet.
me, not Sean.
But I think that'd be worthwhile, just so it's less vague to me anyways. I read it being, what the grounds constitutes, I don't know what that means. So,
The reservoir does not, the lake does not constitute the ground.
no.
Nor the bridge over it.
Right.
And just to clarify too, because Jen, you sent an email out to all the city council members, and I appreciated your input too, especially since we hadn't heard from the Walton board, or I hadn't specifically, but, just to be clear, you guys are not saying, hey, we'd love to take on this liability, and we really feel like it's appropriate at this
Right,
time.
and we talked to Tom Toohill
Yeah.
last spring in 24.
Yeah.
And we were at one of these meetings then too, and, I mean, it was all discussed then, so whether it just didn't continue to get relayed, I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
I do have a question though about, insurance. You're going to insure the bridge?
Well, our insurance for the club itself, I don't know anything about the insurance policy, that's not my
Well,
realm.
how
but-
did the insurance company come to inspect the current bridge?
I don't know.
They required it before when they would renew.
Because we, as council, never get reports on the condition of that bridge. I don't know if it's ever been inspected.
It was, we had to hire divers, right, to go down and check that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So you did that?
We did that.
How many years ago did that happen?
That was in 24, I believe.
Okay, we
when
never got a
first-
report on that.
Yes.
Guess
It was-
what?
That was given to,
Yeah,
in
so-
24.
You gave us a report.
Yeah.
You did bring us a
Yeah.
report last year?
Yep.
Do you know to whom or to what?
Well, it did come to council, I guess, that's what I'm saying.
Tom was there. Were you not there?
So
Maybe
maybe
in that
Ways-
room over there.
Ways
Was it
and
a Ways and
Means,
Means
maybe?
Maybe.
Probably
Reports
Ways
to
and
Ways and
Means,
Means Committee.
I'm guessing.
And that was the beginning of the whole process.
Yes.
3 or 4 months
Right.
later, where.
We have a liaison to the club.
Yes.
That liaison is Tom Toohill.
Yes.
You reported to him.
Or they talked about it at a Ways and Means
Yes.
committee,
Yeah.
because I do think that it went there first before it came to us, right, for discussion.
I don't remember coming to
I-
this.
There is a report, just so you know, there is a
Yeah.
report
Right, but if the city's liable, I think that council should see that on a regular basis.
How much does the council need to see that has been reviewed by other people within city government whose opinions we rely on, you know, like I think.
Well, just to report to us that it was inspected, it passed inspection, and.
Or didn't in this case, was
Yeah.
what was reported to us, it
Right.
didn't pass inspection. So if there's a report or if there's additional information that you could, like, I don't wanna go through every single
No.
report that's submitted to the city that's being considered by other individuals who are going to vet it and then bring the relevant information to council. So, anyway, sorry, not your issue, but.
Melanie? She
Thank
did.
you.
Just to point to the question, the city-owned bridges, how often do they get inspected and where do the reports go? We have, 16 bridges that are on the trail system, but I don't know if they get inspected or not, and, who's Molly, she's not here.
Well, you should probably preparing for the hearing.
We got a hearing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
Should we let members of the public speak?
Yes,
Because
now
there
members of
are-
the public can speak.
I have one question.
Yeah.
And since we
sorry.
still have two lawyers over here, they can
Can
shed
you,
some light
can
on
you
it.
get closer to us?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm Roland Hacker, in case you were wondering. Want me over there?
And Roger's been waiting to talk
Yeah.
some time.
I have a question.
I'll keep my hand up.
So, you consider the grounds, but the bridge is actually resting on the grounds.
Yeah,
So why
exactly.
is it not a part of the grounds?
Yeah, yeah.
What is the legal definition?
Do you know that the city owns the 10 feet around the perimeter of the
Mhm,
lake
yeah.
too?
Okay. Oh, so that's not a part of the lease?
Right, it's not part of the lease. It's a right of way, in my understanding, that has, is accessible to the public.
Yeah, there's an
Okay.
easement on it, I think.
So when property owners go down to the shoreline.
Right, they're
to
actually
put
on
a
city grounds, yeah.
pier in,
Mm.
they're on city property.
But the bridge says for members only.
One at a time, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're on city property.
Okay, that
10 feet.
explains that part.
And I don't know if it's from the water's edge or some other marker, where that is, but it's a city-owned property, and actually residents have a right to go out there and walk on it.
Okay, so
But
the.
it's
the
only
sign- Right,
it's only the areas that are privately owned.
okay. So
Over
actually
by-
the sign that's on the bridge right now that says for members only is actually illegal.
Well, the fairway, like number 1, fairway,
Mm-hmm.
that area does not have a 10-foot, my understanding, a
Right.
10-foot right of way. So residents would be able to go over there anyway.
Right.
But where private property is owned, there's a 10-foot right of way between the water and the property line.
Okay, so basically the bridge where it rests on the land is actually part of the lease, that is actually like a lease to the Walton Club.
It sounds like that's the case.
Okay?
That's my
And-
understanding.
and John said, I asked him if we could carve it out, and he said, well, you could, but there could be objections from
You're
the insurance company.
circumventing
and-
the original principle, so that's
That kind
never
of
gonna
thing.
hold up, yes.
All right.
Roger has been.
Yeah, Roger's next.
Hi, I warn this may take more than 5 minutes. It's an important point, an important topic, and I think it's very germane to everything that was brought up about the bridge, because whenever there's a major construction project, which might be, north of $200,000, it's real clear, it's real important that it's clearly established whose construction project is it, who is the buyer of this construction process, who is the beneficiary of this construction process, who's the owner of this construction process. And typically, that would precede all that, and that would be spelled clearly in a lease between the parties, between the landlord and the tenant, or the lessor and the lessee in this case. And I just want to get my background. I've been in my Overland Sheepskin Company, our company's business, for like 48 years, and I participated probably in negotiating and reviewing probably 50 leases over these last 48 years, and we have leases, and I've also participated as a landlord in leases too. So I've got a lot of experience in leases, from 5-page leases to 50-page leases, from mom and pop. I own this one building. We're kind of the bigger party to where we're dealing with a mall management company, and so I've had the full range of leases, and I've worked with, we engage a lease attorney to help, do the final review on our leases. But so typically a project with, when we're leasing a new store, which we've leased actually 4 of this year, you start off with a letter of intent, so we all agree on the sort of the financial terms and the size of the space and all of that. And then we moved through, eventually, and then we also then, part of that, and the amendment of that is construction. We deal with the build out. Who's gonna be responsible for the flooring? Who's gonna be responsible for the track lights? Who's gonna be responsible for the electrical? Or is it maybe just the panel and we do it from the panel on? Or are we gonna do it to the outlets? Or are we gonna install our own lighting, after the electrical's already installed? And do we put the electrical into the sign? And, these are extremely detailed. And that all goes into an addendum to the lease, and it's agreed upon. And then we usually get multiple construction bids from like 2 or 3 contractors, and then, so the day we sign the lease is the day then that we go back to the contractor and contract with, to have that project fulfilled, and that we base our, plans and startup time and all the materials arriving in time for the construction. So all that goes into doing a lease. And this lease, the good news is it's a short lease. The 1991 version was 2 pages long, including the signatures. The second version followed the same points more or less, and it was 2 pages plus the signatures. Actually, 2.5 pages plus the signature. So it's a short lease, so it's easy to read. So I reviewed it and compared the points in the earlier lease and the subsequent lease, and and how it evolved at 10 years ago when this lease happened. And first of all, I want to say that, just since it came up in the description, the legal description, the lease from 1991 reads this: the lessor, conveys to the lessee the tract of ground known as all land owned by the city of Fairfield, Iowa, lying south of the county road and being adjacent to that city reservoir known as Walton Lake in the northeast quarter. It goes on to the section 30, the plat description of it. But basically, it was all land, and then subsequently, as Melanie had stated, the city engineer had stated, it carved out the residential plats from that. But basically, what's in that, my interpretation was exactly her interpretation of that lease, that it basically says all of the ground that is there that's not the homeowner's lots are being leased to the Walton Club, Inc. And so that's the way, and until it's, and then it also, there are several easements noted, there are some easements noted in the lease, for septic and water and, yada, yada. There are easements that are, but that doesn't necessarily mean the surface use is for that. But I would, from my experience in dealing with leases, I would say that legal description is all of the land is being leased to the.
Well, thankfully, that's not the lease that we are currently working with.
No, I'm saying the lease that you're currently working on.
It doesn't say all of the land, and it
No.
says being adjacent.
Absolutely, you're correct. It doesn't say all of the land, but that's what it evolved from, and the legal description still, specifies that a little more. It has more carve-outs, but it doesn't.
But it says being adjacent to.
Yeah,
What
and
does
being
that
adjacent
mean?
to, in the first one, it used that same term, but it just meant
What does that mean?
in the vicinity of, the surrounds of that is how I would
Yeah,
interpret
but it doesn't
that.
include the lake, right?
No,
Okay.
if you're walking on water, no, or whatever.
Well, or a bridge over water.
Well, that's debatable. I'm sure that, okay, so let me just go more into the various points on this lease. As you noted,
Excuse me, Mr. Lay, just 1 second. I think what you're saying is the lease that we're dealing with does not include the lake, it does not include the bridge over the lake. So the point.
No, I disagree with that. I think it does not include the lake, but I think it does include everything in the environment of the
But I'm
lake.
just making clear what the point of the city. So the city's position is that it doesn't include the lake, it doesn't include the bridge. So these details you're talking about, what it takes for a lessor and a lessee to enter into a lease, and the different.
Well, okay, it's gonna become relevant in a second.
It's not relevant to what we've done with regard to the bridge over the lake. That's all I want to say.
I still beg to differ that it may have a lot of relevance. First, I want to point out that this lease, the heading on this lease from 25 years ago was Morrissey Law Office, and that there was no headings like that on the second lease. It said resolution number 3291. But I just want to point out that this, certainly the current city attorney had some dealings with this lease, and he's also, I believe, pretty instrumental in interpreting that lease, in interpreting clause 2 and the various clauses of this lease. And he has, and I agree with him on certain points. Certainly, in terms of liability insurance, when we insurance up on every one of our projects as far as we can, because you can never tell in a lawsuit who's gonna get sued. And we also have mutual indemnity clauses and hold harmless clauses. So if our insurance is covering it, we aren't gonna go after them or vice versa and so forth. So I realize there's liability issues and those could be handled in a mature lease. It's kind of vague. This lease, by the way, both versions of this lease are pretty non-specific. I mean, none of them even refer to a golf cart bridge. It's not, that terminology is never mentioned. And I think the way number 2 evolved from the earlier to the more recent lease, it was very confusing because it basically, in the older lease, it said the city herein, by the way, this lease uses a lot of shall nots. And usually you describe who has the liability, not who doesn't have the liability, but that's about the way 2/3 of this lease is written. But it says the city herein shall not be obligated to maintain or repair any roads, drives, or bridges that are adjacent to said reservoir.
Again, you're talking about 1991 lease?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's relevant because all they did when they morphed it into the new lease was they just removed the word not.
Right.
And so basically, when they were talking about bridges, when this one, I don't even know, I don't know, there are other bridges on the property, and this was referring to other bridges, and then, okay, let me just go to another point. There's other places that need clarity. In point number 3 in the current lease that expires in 3 months or so, it says Walton Club lessee shall maintain the golf cart and clubhouse grounds and cart shed area. Now, that wasn't that evolved because in the earlier lease it just said Walton Club is to maintain the fences and grounds south of Walton Road. So they're trying to clarify it a little bit more to concentrate it more, but it certainly doesn't say anything here that would preclude. I'm suggesting that if I was clarifying this, I would have said and the golf cart bridge, because I think in practice that was what was happening. They were maintaining, the city wasn't. They were the ones that had the insurance on it apparently, and the city didn't. They were the ones that had it inspected, and they were the ones that basically, I think that should be added into that clause, and it should be, clause 2 should be clarified. Point number 4, which reads like this: the lessor, which is the city, shall not be obligated, this is the current lease, to furnish or financially participate in any repairs to facilities to serve any structures or buildings adjacent to said reservoir and clubhouse area. And again, adjacent, whether it's near or whatever, I would say any structure it should include a bridge, and it should be clarified. If it doesn't include a bridge, it should say except the golf cart bridge. It shouldn't just be left hanging kind of vague in that sense. So that
adjacent means next to.
Yeah, what's vague about that?
I don't understand I understand that you don't like the way that our lease is written and you think that we should be responsible for the golf cart bridge, but we are not, and that's the way that our lease is written.
Okay, let's just keep going.
But why?
Pardon?
Why?
Why what?
Why keep going?
Because
You
I have a
don't like-
presentation to make, and I'm 3/4 through. It's not gonna be strain you too much more to hear this.
So your point there is that you don't think the bridge is adjacent to the.
I think it could be easily interpreted to be adjacent to the lake. And certainly it's on part, I mean, is the causeway adjacent to the lake, or is it in the lake, or is it through the lake? I mean, it's just a matter of, this lease is not very precise in its adjectives and prepositions and so forth. So even the descriptive words like that. I'm just saying, I could have my lease attorney review this and have him interpret it or whatever. You have a legal opinion on the thing. Number 8,
We
it
have
says,
legal opinions on it.
you have a legal opinion by a person who has vested interest in upholding, in not undoing something that he might have made a mistake on, or he might have interpreted incorrectly or whatever. I think there's a potential conflict of interest between our current city attorney interpreting this lease the way he thinks it ought to be interpreted.
But we've already voted on
Okay,
whether
okay.
or not we're gonna replace them.
I'd like to just,
Let's not argue about
point number 8. It is
That
express.
is what we're arguing about. Clearly, we're not talking about what our new lease is gonna look like. We're talking
Well,
about
I'm talking about what it
the way
could.
that our lease should have been in 1991 and how it should have been in 2015. And I just don't think that this is a very beneficial conversation.
I think this is essential because it's the foundation really of moving forward with anything else is what is the legal obligation here in this lease. And I want to quote from point number 8 of this, of the current lease, which is, I think it's the same in, actually,
Looks pretty similar.
point number 8, when it takes the old,
Improvements
it's very
on the
similar,
leased
okay.
ground or
The,
property.
this is the current lease. It is expressly understood that the lessor, which is the city, by this lessor, this is just a preamble, on this leased ground are, that the improvements on this leased ground, and again, I maintain that the golf cart bridge is an improvement because it wasn't there when the city leased it to them, and it appeared, and the city didn't do it, and it was an improvement to the property. So that the improvements upon this leased ground are personal property of the lessee, which is the Walton Club Inc. And should this lease be held to be void, blah, blah, the improvement should become uninhabitable for any reason, this lessee shall have the right to remove any structures or improvements existent prior to, or acquired after the date of this lease from the premise. It's a long-winded sentence, but from the premises. So they're basically saying any improvement to the property that wasn't there when they came, that the Walton Club built is the property and owned by the Walton Club, and they have the right to remove it. I realize it's impractical to remove a bridge, but I'm just saying it should have, if it wanted to clarify that, there's an opportunity. This lease needs, when it's rewritten, it needs to be very precise, not just kind of, and I would say there's at least the things in paragraph 2 that are vague, and 3 that are vague, and 4 that are vague, and 8 that are vague, and I would say all 4 of those paragraphs, 2 of them are expressly in the direction, or 3 of them, that saying it's the Walton Club's ownership and responsibility for doing this, maintaining it. And even number 2, even as it's written right now, it just says the city should be responsible for maintain and repair any roads or bridges that are adjacent to said clubhouse. Now, if we're, maybe if that bridge is not adjacent to said clubhouse, the city's not even obligated to repair it now. You know, I mean, it's like you could read that multiple ways, and I'm just saying, all I'm pointing out is there's a problem here, and it needs to be not just, I mean, I think city council, I mean, me as owner of my business, I didn't always, I wasn't negotiating every point in every lease, but I think I needed to be aware, I need to read through and understand what's being said. And Doug did that. I don't know if anybody else has really done that, but this lease is really a problem. And and I think it needs to be well done and cleanly constructed. I mean, it could probably be done, you know, I mean, a small group of people could do it in an hour or something like that, but I don't think it's really, anyway, I just,
Okay, I have an
that's.
idea. I have a suggestion, Roger.
Yeah.
If you want to put your suggestions into writing, then what's
You mean
favorable to the
suggestions
committee?
for a new lease or suggestions
Your
or
revisions.
problems with the old lease?
The revisions that you were suggesting.
Yeah, I could
If
do
that's
that.
not too much to ask.
And I guess the one thing that I just need clarity on, I guess, is they talk about leased ground in the lease agreement. My understanding is that the leased ground does not include the lake. Can we agree on
That's,
that?
yes, that's true.
Okay, we can agree on that. So in section 8, it's expressly understood by this lessor that the improvements on this leased ground are blah, 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 blah. The leased ground does not include the lake. So I'm just struggling here, and I would say, Mr. Leahy, obviously you have a lot of experience with leases, and you know, you have a lot of business acumen. When your attorneys draft up a lease agreement for you, do you then take it to a different attorney? I mean, like, how many?
Well, there's a different attorney involved because the other party's attorney is always involved.
So that
too.
would be the same thing with this, correct? And
I don't
we've
know
heard
to what
from the
degree.
Walton,
Yeah.
we've heard from the Walton board, they said they have attorneys, and anything that we change in our lease, their attorneys would have to review too. So So there are two attorneys at least working on this. When you work with your attorneys with lease agreements, which you've done numerous times, do you then take it from your attorney and say, I'm gonna have more attorneys look at this?
Independent opinion?
No, we go over it with them and we
Yeah,
agree, but
right,
we
right.
don't just say, oh, our attorney did it, so, I mean, we still read the lease.
Absolutely,
so-
and so are you saying that in 2015, with that council, you are assuming that nobody read this lease, nobody
I'm
looked at
assuming
it?
nobody cared about it as, with the attention to detail that I put on it, yeah, I'm assuming that. It
Okay.
seems obvious to me.
Okay.
I think
Because of
it's,
the
it's
golf
a, it's a
course-
real
excuse me,
sloppily
excuse me,
written,
sir.
I mean,
It seems obvious to you because of the current golf course bridge that you don't want the city to take responsibility for.
right, and I think it's saying you're getting an unbiased opinion from the Walton Club too. If this lease was misinterpreted by your city attorney or the city council or whoever, and they got wind of, hey, we're getting a free golf cart bridge, then I think they could say, well, let's just lie low on this thing and let's act like we always expected that, when I don't think that's really the case. I think they've been maintaining it, like, it was obviously it was stumbled up when they ordered the inspection of the bridge and their insurance company was talking about the bridge. That wasn't being driven by the city council, that was being driven by the Walton Club. They can play innocent on it, but they have a responsibility here, and I think.
Well, let's say that we have had outside counsel, not Mr. Morrissey, not Walton Club attorneys, review this and find that the city is liable for that bridge. Would that assuage some of your concerns?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the outside counsel and about some of these points in the lease though. But I think, I think that would go a long way.
So-
And I actually suggested that to Mr. Morrissey. I suggested, and I suggested it to the Connie and the city administrator when Mr. Morrissey was present. I said, I think you need outside opinion on this because I think you're, and also the constitutional.
And we have, right, we had a conversation with our outside counsel, Allers and Cooney, last week, yes, to talk about the city's liability for the bridge. We talked to them about public purpose, correct? Were you on that call? I was not on that
I
call.
wasn't on that call.
Okay, but it did happen, you were there, so
I'm
does
not talking about just the public purpose issue. That was a
So
separate
we're
issue.
talking about, okay,
I'm talking about the lease document
city's
itself.
liability for replacing the bridge. Does that assuage any of your concerns?
If I could see a written opinion, I asked Mr. Morrissey for his written opinion on this lease, on those points, and he just ignored me. I said, I would appreciate it, you would write it in writing, so then we could take it.
Let me answer this. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the current lease, the one that's in effect.
Yes.
Paragraph 2. The lessor, that's the city of Fairfield, shall be obligated to maintain or repair any roads or bridges that are adjacent to said clubhouse. Now, we agree, or maybe you don't agree, that the bridge that we're talking about now is not adjacent to the clubhouse, it's over the lake, which is not part of the lease.
Are there any bridges
I
adjacent
think,
to the club?
again, Jake,
Even
Who
if it
cares
were.
if there were, but I mean,
But
like,
we're not
it includes everything. I actually think that that's probably using foresight, because I have
I think
seen
it's-
some golf courses that have like
The
bridges.
point I
on
wanna
them.
focus
Okay,
on, the
sorry,
city
go
is
ahead.
obligated to repair, the city is obligated in the agreement. The city is obligated to maintain and repair, including
well,
bridges.
even that could, that sense,
Is
is
that
adjacent
confusing?
to
Is that
said clubhouse,
confusing
golf
to you?
course, reservoir.
Mr. Leahy, is that confusing to you?
I think this is
What
ambiguous.
is confusing about the city is obligated? What's confusing about that to you?
What is a bridge?
What is a
In
bridge?
this se- in
You're
this
confused about what a
sentence.
bridge is?
I think it might be referring to the bridge down by the dam. And I think, and it also says, and again, the odd thing is, I think someone just took a shortcut when they evolved this from the earlier lease and they just took the word not out, and they weren't really thinking about it. They tried to clarify it here, including all city of Fairfield dedicated areas, i.e. streets, bridges, etc. So bridges in that phrase, right, the second half of that sentence is talking about in city of Fairfield dedicated areas, which means bridges, vehicular traffic bridges. So their bridges means bridges that the city is maintaining. So,
It's including, but it's not only.
yeah, I understand, but again, this is got a lot of spaghetti in here. And it's not something that, I would like to see a written opinion by your not in-house counsel that this lease is tight enough to show that the city is obligated
Well-
to do this. I'm not saying that you didn't make a decision, I'm saying you had faulty guidance, in my opinion, and by the way, your city attorney, we have never said we're gonna sue anybody. The city attorney has on 2 occasions told me and other people that he's gonna come after us personally. So, I mean,
I'm pretty sure Ed Noyes drafted up a lawsuit that he said, well, no, we're not filing it.
It's not a
but it
lawsuit.
Certainly looks very threatening when there's a caption on the top with
The DNR,
court. No, this was previously.
I don't know
So-
what, I
Okay.
didn't see that, but I don't think there's been any threat, and I think the threats have been coming from I've been party to him, trying to say, if you delay this for any reason, you could be liable for this, and you could be sued personally. I mean, he's made threats to me personally, which I didn't appreciate, but,
I think, I don't know, I can't speak for him. I would imagine he's probably just trying to let you know, hey, like, being a party to this, these could open you up to additional.
yeah, I appreciate that. I'm well aware of that, and I
Yeah.
think it's always good to be safe when you're doing stuff, and I'll try to be, okay, enough said. But anyway, if you could actually, let me just make this a request. If you could give me a letter from that attorney saying he's seen both of these leases, and particularly the current one, and he agrees that it's clear to him that the city is obligated to build a replacement to the golf cart bridge for the Walton Club. I'd like to see that in writing. I asked that of the city attorney, and he just blew me off. So I'm just saying that he didn't even say, oh, I'm not gonna do that, he just didn't do it.
You're talking about the firm in Des Moines, or is it Coon?
I didn't know that was the name of the firm.
Okay, because I've asked through council that they give us a written opinion about the public use.
Right.
Clause.
And I would ask,
Yeah.
if you get it, I would love to see it.
I
That
think
would
we
be
guys,
something, if
council
they
have
were to
that,
render
but
such an opinion, it'd be something for the council, not for the public, right? Because you're advising the council, you're giving legal advice to the council.
Okay,
But I can
whatever,
tell you
but
the
if I-
conversation with them, they were very clear, it's very simple, this is public purpose, this is property owned by the city of Fairfield. It's owned by the city of Fairfield.
I understand.
And
I've heard
so
you
it's
say that,
owned
but-
by the city of Fairfield. The
But saying
city-
a fourth time is not gonna
The city has the
make-
right to improve it, placing or improve infrastructure on land owned by the city.
Right, and the
It's really
city has
public
leased a big chunk of this land to the Walton Club Inc., and they have certain
But not the lake.
obligations
And
per
not the
this
bridge over
lease.
the lake.
Pardon?
Not the lake.
Not the lake, and not the bridge over the lake.
I said the Walton Club,
Right, it does not include the lake or the bridge over the lake.
this is the question that's being.
Well, I'd like to see that clarified from the, that point
It's in the
itself ought to be
lease.
clarified
Says that in the
too.
lease.
It's in the lease,
Well, I realize you guys are both attorneys too, but,
too. Are you an attorney?
no, I mean, I'm talking about,
You
but
two
besides the
and
city attorney.
John.
Oh, okay, so this will be debated right now in an administrative court hearing. So we're gonna have an answer in a couple of weeks maybe, or today maybe.
On the
Rules from the bench.
DNR thing?
On the public use.
No, but,
Doctrine. and-
okay, the public, but that was all we were trying, what I told
I thought that was being discussed.
What I told Mr. Morrissey was, that if we could get opinion like that, that we could then, run
Fight
by
against?
we could
I
run
don't
by
understand.
the
Then,
state.
like, we have our lawyers who are advising us, it doesn't seem like there's any amount of legal opinion that would satisfy anybody, and I don't really know where it ends.
Well, obviously you realize that occasionally attorneys have a different opinion.
100%.
Okay, so I'm just
Absolutely.
saying that maybe there could be some higher level, that's why we were
You
thinking
want
maybe
us to
the state
spend
attorney
money
general.
on evaluating a lease that expired in 2015, and then spend money on evaluating a lease that expired
That's expiring in
this year?
December?
Why don't we use that time and effort and money to draft a
Yeah, I
new
could have
lease?
done that quicker than I could have talked with you guys. I mean, it's,
I think maybe so, but
you know-
why don't we do that? That's where we put our attention on a new lease.
well, that's what I was hoping, that maybe this meeting about a lease could be a thing
And
where
I
we
believe our
could.
chairs ask you for, if you have some suggestions on how we might amend or make better the upcoming lease, should we lease? then we wanna incorporate that
Okay.
into our
So
discussion.
it seems
I
like
just seem like
maybe
next step.
there's some confusion about what land is being leased by Walton Lake and maybe some additional guidance in the lease, maybe some
Well,
definitions.
there's some vagueness here that says they're responsible for it, that says they own it, that they are, there's several things in here that if they aren't just right out wrong, they're misconstrued or whatever.
Okay.
So the way.
Would it help for
You have
us-
one vision, you're interpreting it as everything that says the city of Fairfield's responsible is the way it ought to be interpreted. And I'm saying that it's the Walton Lake Club, the Walton Club, that is responsible for maintaining that bridge and replacing that bridge. And I haven't found any clear, I would like to.
Okay, well-
All I asked, I thought we could save time if we just got an outside opinion that directed those particular things and said that if yes, that would make me feel a little better if.
Well, a little better, but so let's say.
Well, I might
we-
want to take it to the Supreme Court, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I don't know where this
Not
is
gonna
going.
there.
Let's say we own the lake, we're liable for it. And we've determined as a city council that in order to best protect that liability, we feel like we need to be responsible for this bridge. Does that answer any question?
Well, I think that's a,
Roger.
I think it's not the best use of public funds, and I think you're interpreting it
Okay.
wrong, but I think,
Okay,
you have you could interpret it that way.
okay.
But,
Roger, I think actions speak louder than words. This is Tom Terry, and I'm a resident out there. And I've walked that bridge a number of times because I enjoy walking around the golf course.
Do you walk on the bridge?
I did walk on the bridge, not recently when they closed.
Until it was
Right,
closed off.
right.
Were you,
But-
are you a member of the golf course?
No,
Oh,
no.
so you can walk on the bridge even
No.
if you're
Can
not
I,
a
can I
member?
finish speaking before you
Well,
go
no,
on?
I'm just curious.
Well,
There's
the
a
point
big
is-
sign, you cannot walk on the
No,
bridge.
this is, I've been there for, well, now going on 13 years.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, and I joined the golf course at one point in time and walked on the bridge.
Could you come up?
But the thing is that we talk about it's the city's responsibility to repair and maintain the bridge. That's what was in the lease, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And even
Now,
if it isn't, that's
hold
what
on.
the city.
No, but the city acknowledged that in that written thing in 2015. So what have you done over the course of those past 10 years to maintain or repair that bridge? Because there were periods of time I'd see the rubber things were done up, or the wind blew them off, and you had to kind of walk around them.
Okay, Tom, you're right.
The
In
point is,
practice,
they did not do it.
in practice, the city has not taken care of that bridge.
So.
In practice, the Walton Club has taken care of it, and they've insured it.
Well, but the
That's-
point is, based on the written document that you have, it is on you to repair, inspect, and maintain the bridge. And as a result, it failed to meet the insurance guidelines for being a safe bridge.
The
But-
bridges have a shelf life. I mean, they have a specific
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
that.
You're telling, are you a
which-
construction person for as far as going out and physically inspect the bridge?
No, but I would trust what
Did
our
someone
city
in the city
engineer
go in and do
says.
it?
I would trust what our city engineer says and the guidance that we get from her.
The city engineer, this was based on after the insurance company said it's not safe. If that did not occur, the city engineer wouldn't be involved in this.
Because it's outlived its life.
Well, but the point is, who maintained the bridge the past 10 years? Now, I'm not saying the golf club did it because they know they didn't wanna have somebody tripping over somebody, but the point is that if, God forbid, something happened over these past 10 years, it would be on you guys because of the way you wrote the lease.
Yes, that's right.
And
Regardless of-
that's
Not because of the way we wrote the
the
lease.
way.
That's the other way the law is, whether
The
it's
other
written
thing
or
is
not,
relative to.
because the
what-
city owns the property.
Right, but one other thing that Roger mentioned was the
And the bridge.
improvements. The improvements. Back in the 50s, when that causeway was built, how did that get through the city?
I
This is
don't know,
going
we're
over
around.
an area that wasn't leased, supposedly, but the point is that if the causeway was allowed, the bridge itself is only 72 feet long. There's a stone causeway that goes up to where the bridge is. Now, once that improvement was in, why didn't the more recent, it's defined again, there are signs that say this is, access to it is for clubhouse members and guests. But beside that, I enjoy the golf course, I enjoy everything about it, but what we're dealing with here is meeting of the minds of, and especially when we brought the landowners into the equation, meeting of the minds of everybody that are stakeholders out in that area. And it's just not been that.
Including the city, right?
I mean, I-
Including the
I'm
city, right?
including the city
Right.
because I'm the city.
I
You're
would,
the city.
but I would disagree, Tom, because when you were unable to get a hold of Terry, I spoke with you at length about the
You did.
aluminum bridge.
Did you read
Remember
the email
that?
that I sent you?
I did see the email and I have yet to respond because
Please
I'm
do.
trying to craft a really thoughtful response to
Thank
your
you. And I-
email that
and I-
is thorough.
and-
And I will just say that we talked about the aluminum bridge, and immediately after speaking with you, I got on the phone with our city engineer and said, hey, Tom has brought this to my attention. Have you spoken with him? She said, I'm going to speak with him, or I have spoken with him, and I don't wanna quote her directly because I don't
Spoke with who,
recall.
me?
Yeah.
Melanie.
So I don't know, you know, like, I have been involved in having discussions with
No,
you
I understand.
and then passing that information along. Again, I'm going to be putting my faith in the people who are gonna be guiding the city in terms of what decisions we need to make, not only with our city attorney, outside counsel, city engineer, outside engineering firm French Renaker, and so, you know, that's what we're gonna be going for. I haven't heard from any other engineer who's given me a different option.
Read my email.
I did read it,
did.
I did read it, and I have it printed out
Good,
right
thank-
here, I
thank
read
you.
it, it didn't change my mind at all.
Okay, no point in getting upset.
No.
Oh, Tom,
Hey.
please don't tell me about getting in, except, after you yelled at our city engineer
I know.
multiple times. So I don't wanna hear from you
That is
about
not
me lowering my
true.
voice.
Okay.
He never yelled.
I'm not
Well, we have a
interested in
witness.
that.
I was
Right.
there.
Don't
Right there.
She
tell
yelled
me.
at him and cursed at
Quiet.
him.
You're telling me that I haven't
All right,
read your
all right.
email, and I have.
Let's stay on the topic of the lease.
What is this topic about?
I'm trying to get that from Tom. What do you want? You wanna make a
All the
recommendation on the
topic,
lease
all
or
the,
not?
all the topic was to define the responsibility, where it lies.
Okay.
Personally, I think what you should do is put a fence up and not have a bridge.
All right.
We still
That's
have to
what-
lower the lake,
How do you know that?
because that's what I've been told by
Yeah, right.
engineers.
Okay.
There's other- You can get quotes, and maybe
Again.
you don't have to lower the lake.
And I should put that in writing, send it to us, and
Good.
we'll incorporate it. Anybody else?
I just want to make one more point, is this made a lot of difference to me personally, because, not because I'm a golfer, but because I care about the environment, and that's when I got involved, and then we found out about the cities, the way this went through, then that was frustrating too. So I put a lot of my own resources into backing this, and I really, you know, if the city wants to waste money paying for this, and you know, and the golf course doesn't care about the lake either. I feel sorry for the residents around the lake, and I think this is kind of going through. I think it's got a bad play here. By the way, I would still love to see that opinion of that outside attorney specifically about this. I don't know if you acknowledge that request or not, but I'd really like to see that. I'm frankly not expecting to see it because I don't know, but that's,
Okay.
Can we have
Okay.
the other person speak?
Yeah, Kathy.
Kathy.
My name is Kathy Snow, and it's very, very clear that the city has done their due diligence since April of 2024. And for the city to, for anyone to be misled by the objecting group, where were you for 12 meetings? 12 meetings, this city council painstakingly went through all of the options for all of Fairfield, and they have been discredited. You have questioned their integrity, their ethics, they've been attacked online, and in this very room. And all of us should be privileged to have a voice and be able to speak. Where was yours for all of those meetings until you decided it didn't serve your purposes? They are very open with communication, transparency. All you have to do is click a link and see every meeting. Search the transcripts for Walton Lake golf cart bridge. And I feel very bad for you, Mr. Leahy, that maybe you weren't aware that not only was our city engineer verbally assaulted but physically threatened after a meeting. I don't know if you were aware that this group contacted the state of Iowa and asked for her license. They complained. This group has affected people's livelihoods more than that, a cost of any bridge. They've affected the trust in this community, and they've affected people's trust in Fairfield. We're supposed to be fair, and this was not fair. Maybe you're not aware of all of those things going on right now, but I find offense to the fact also that our city attorney, all of you laughed when his alarm went off. Why? Because he's defending Fairfield now with this costly litigation. How much do you all think that that is going to cost? Do you know every city employee has now been hounded by Walton Lake, Walton Lake. This isn't about saving Walton Lake. It's been drained down before. It's a man-made lake. It's beautiful out there now. It will be again. And not for 5 years with rotting fish and smelling bad and anything else. It's going to fill up rather quickly, and this is the right thing for the lake. DNR experts have been talking about this in great length. No one's listening to the experts. There's suddenly experts in every field, right? That is not right. We need to respect our city council, our mayor, our city attorney, administrator. The list goes on. Even our clerk has been vilified online. But what you have done it's not a bridge over troubled water. Believe me. This has been recent, since May, and you can click on each link and see for yourselves how this city council has been treated with such disrespect. And I appreciate you smiling, Ed Hip. I will call you out, okay? Because you made a joke about, London Bridge and Brooklyn Bridge and everything at the last city council meeting. Not funny. Not funny. After you see the tape and you see Melanie Carlson being physically threatened and verbally assaulted.
What's this got to do with our lease?
I don't know, it's kind of the point we were just.
What it has to do with the lease is you've allowed people to talk for 30 minutes and rifling off accusations and calling into question the Walton Club board's integrity. And even after they've made their position clear for over a year, you have lied about their position. You have lied about their position. I don't know if everyone's seen the letter that the Walton Club board put forth saying, hey, this has never been the case, but you were up on the square saying, save Walton Lake. DNR is telling you that the silt and sediment needs to be cleaned. They've always said they've had to draw down the lake.
All right, let's not rehash the whole.
I'm not rehashing it. They were rehashing it at the podium and in an incorrect manner.
It's getting out of control.
The truth still matters. The truth still matters. And the truth is that this city council has gone to great lengths to make the right decisions for this city. And
so what do you recommend for the lease?
for the lease, there are contracts. Yes, they're just discussing it though. Do you think that any contracts administrator is going to say, oh, yeah, let's write that in as the final? No, this is a draft.
We want to know what you want to do for the lease.
What I want to do for the lease is I want to listen to our city council, our city attorney, the outside attorneys that have already weighed in on this. Can the lease be tightened up? Maybe, but you already have a current lease. Let's not convolute the matter by bringing in an old lease. So you've already been told through other people. I'm just wondering how much all this litigation is going to cost. Once again, you laughed at our city attorney. You laughed at that when you know damn well.
I did not laugh at your city attorney.
Yes, and you also said that you've
Are you
received
talking
threats.
to me or just in general?
Well, no. There were several people who laughed.
Well, I'm not one of several people, okay?
But you were up there also making
We
accusations
gotta wrap this up.
of
It's
threats.
2:30, we've been here an
Yeah,
hour and a
yeah,
half. It's not going anywhere.
I say let the contracts administrators, the city council,
We're
and
gonna work out
her
the contract
committee
details,
work on the
okay?
contract.
We're just taking input on the
Can I
lease
please?
details that people wanna make. I don't wanna get into a fight about
Can I
anything
just
else.
speak,
Make
please?
your suggestions, if you have a change you wanna
The
make.
only thing I wanna
Tell me your
say,
name, please.
I would like to say.
Tell me your name,
and
please.
My name is Fonzie Boncoster, I live on the lake. The main
me, what was
thing
your
is,
name again, please?
everyone's been asking
Fonzie
where have
Boncoster.
we been since 2024.
Hold on.
In order to know what was going on in the council meeting, you'd have to click on a link of the newspaper or whatever. A lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people don't bother to do that. Now, when you apply to the DNR to get a drawdown, we all, on the lake, all received a letter from the DNR asking if we had any opposition. I think a lot of us feel, since this drawdown will drastically affect those of us who live on the lake, it would have been good when you started talking about building a bridge that was gonna drain the lake, that we could have been contacted via a letter, just like the DNR did, asking for input. That's the first thing. The second thing is the contract says between the city and the Walton Club that the city's supposed to repair and maintain. I would like to see some maintenance reports from the last 10 years of things that the city did, or did the city just let that bridge go?
I think we already made that point, that the city
What?
hasn't done any maintenance on it.
So the city's kind of failed in its duties for 10 years, and so now the bridge needs to be replaced. My other point is, the whole initial
The bridge is going to
idea-
always need replacing.
Yeah, but the whole initial idea that the bridge had to serve emergency vehicles was very misguided.
No, that's a
No,
red
it's not.
herring,
No, I
please.
know, but that's
It's a
why.
red herring,
but
don't
th-
bring it up.
But that's why you're
No.
overbuilding the
No,
bridge.
that's
No,
not
it's not.
right. That's not
It's
All
right.
right,
not.
so explain
It's
that.
just a rumor, huh?
So you're not overbuilding the bridge?
No, that, we actually chose the cheapest option that was presented
That's-
to
The
us.
cheapest option that was presented, because you had the idea of emergency vehicles.
No,
No.
no, that
But
is
you're
not
saying
correct.
that never
That
came
was-
in.
No, I'll tell you how it did.
Okay.
So we were presented with different options, the cheapest of them being the one that we eventually voted on.
Right.
And then, totally as an aside, hey, you know what? This also has such a great load capacity that it can also facilitate these types of vehicles. And we had already
So that
voted
was
on
like
it.
an accident.
It was.
So, but if it's an accident, and we now come up with bridges that are much less expensive, that don't have to be built so intensely, why not go for that? Even if the city says, okay, we're gonna assume responsibility for the bridge,
Okay.
we as citizens have come
Ma'am,
up with a solution.
The reason for that is, just like Elizabeth said, we were given three options, and we had two quotes on bridges. They were at $250,000 and $275,000. The causeway was estimated at $200,000.
Right.
That's the rationale. I pointed this out at a city council meeting. We based that decision based on money.
And what we're saying is that perhaps less expensive options weren't looked at. I know that Tommy,
Okay.
back in May, gave a suggestion. You all said that you contacted Bridge Company, they never contacted back.
In one
I
case.
asked the Bridge
Contacted
Company,
Bridge Company.
they've never heard from you.
I contacted
And
our
they
city
contacted us.
engineer about the feasibility of having, the aluminum bridge. One of the issues was that, because it's such a long bridge, the load capacity, my understanding at the time was that it could not facilitate the number of golf carts that could potentially be on the bridge, and I was thinking, well, who's gonna be out there monitoring and making sure that there's just, a certain number of golf carts going across at the time? That was the information that I had, that I was working with.
Well,
So.
bear in
but we're
mind,
here talking about-
however we got to where we are now, we
Do you-
do have a cheaper alternative. Why can't we go for that?
Do you have a suggestion with the lease?
I gotta get to work.
Please.
Do I have a suggestion to
But the
make?
lease.
With the lease?
That's what we're here talking about, the lease.
I
We're not gonna
personally,
rehash the whole
I
bridge question.
personally believe that the city should not be paying for a bridge using $200,000 taxpayer money. So maybe the bridge should be removed and there is no bridge.
And then we would have to increase the size of the road so that golf courts could go across the road, so that the golf course could
Which road?
still,
Walton Road?
200th Street.
Yeah, exactly. So that would change, that we would have to widen the road. We did look at that. We'd have to widen the road, which would cost even more money.
Oh, the
than
Walton
the
Road that goes all the way
bridge.
across the spillway, that road?
No, no,
Yeah, it's
200th Street.
Street, it's not.
Yeah.
The
Well,
gravel
but they
road.
don't need to use 200th Street, they can go on Walton Road.
It doesn't matter, we looked
Yeah.
at all those options, and
Okay.
we decided to do the causeway, we voted on it, and that's where we
Well-
pulled that trigger again 18 months ago.
Okay, so if you wanna stick to the lease, we still need to discuss maintain and repair, does that mean replace?
Well, okay, yes, we're aware of that.
And I know the city attorney says you can't write it out, but I think it'd be worth seeing if, I think he has a vested interest in it, I think it would be better if we get someone outside, maybe we can
I think
write
he-
a lease
he
so that
actually-
it does not include the bridge.
I think he indicated that it was possible to carve it out, but it would get complicated, and insurance companies and other people would question. That's what he said, or that's my sense of what he said.
Yes.
So, it's being discussed.
Okay.
Anybody else?
So, the other thing is, I think we've all been very respectful. If someone's been getting threats and all of that, that is not coming from this group. We've been working
Yes.
really hard and talk, that's coming
It did.
from people's reactions to maybe
Yeah.
things that we have posted. But when Tommy Terrian left the meeting and Melanie Carson was there, and she mentioned something to him, and he said, well, you know, that's a mistake, he pointed it out to her. She said, well, fire me, and he said, well, I'd like to, and she said, fuck off, Tom. So it's not us.
Oh, okay, let's just
Yeah,
put
that
that
is-
away.
Can I say something?
Okay, this is gonna be the last one.
Thank you.
Hurry.
No.
The reason I'm here is because of I speak as a homeowner, not the Walton Club. I'm a homeowner on the lake. I've taken care of the golf course for 34 years, and I've done everything to that, and that's beside the point. What I would like to see for a new lease is a 25-year lease, so we don't have to go through this all the time. I'd like to see compensation. A lot of people don't know, they think it's just for the golf club, but it's infrastructure for the city. The city owns the ground. I'd like to see, and I'd like an explanation why we pay $20,000 worth of taxes every year on the ground that we don't even own. You should-
And $1 a year for your lease.
Exactly, and I don't mind
I think we
paying
should
that.
double it.
No, that's-
$1 a year.
Exactly.
$1 a year.
But we spend $140,000 a year on upkeep of the city's ground, too.
You do that so you can maintain your club.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's a great marriage.
You don't have to do it.
I feel like
Yes,
it's.
we do the golf, we want the golf.
I feel like it's a benefit, yeah, you want it, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and I think the city wants it too.
We do.
Yes.
I mean.
It's an amenity that attracts people. We think, I'm all about, I'm very interested in having our city grow. Economic development is important to me. We want amenities that attract families, that attract
Exactly.
businesses.
That's how you
This
build-
is one of them.
That's how
And
you
that's
build a
why
community.
I would imagine, obviously I wasn't on the council at the time, but I imagine there are other people who wanna lease those grounds, and I feel like a golf course is a great option to have for people.
And you just can't build a golf course and maintain it overnight. I mean, it takes years and years and years of developing on that. And we are thankful that the city lets us do it for $1 a year. But we take care of the property and we pay the expenses for the property.
So what is your concern with the lease that we have? So you just want 25 years?
Yeah, just 25 years, so we don't have to go through this rhetoric all the time. A lot of comments and a lot of things, bless their hearts, they're interested, but it doesn't make a bit of sense.
And there are big,
To have
big
this,
reasons.
I don't know why we had a quorum to talk about the lease, which is between the Walton Club, and I'm not speaking of the Walton Club, I'm speaking as a member that lives out on the golf course. With that.
Well, we're trying to be more transparent for the public's benefit.
No, we're not trying to be, we are transparent. I don't think.
I
more.
know,
This-
but I
this
think
is how
that
it
the
works.
reason why we're having a detailed conversation about a contract, which sometimes, I mean, being on environmental franchise utilities committee, sometimes we just look at the contract ourselves. There are no members there, but I mean, we always go through them, but I think the reason why we're allowing for a longer meeting is to allow the public to weigh in on the lease and for, you know, additional.
Right, but I don't think this is any different. We
You're
post a
right.
meeting like we posted any other meeting.
Yep.
Someone's invited like they are to any other meeting. Sometimes they show up.
Mostly
sometimes
they don't.
Right.
Most times they don't, but we're happy you showed
But
up.
that's my opinion, what I'd like to have, and I'm an invested member of, lives out there, and that's my home, and I like to keep it going, and I appreciate having it for $1 a year, but we spend
Oh, yeah, we think it's a deal. You are taking care of maintaining a golf course that would cost the city, who would do it? The city.
Exactly.
You
You
mow the
don't
grass.
see any municipalities
Hundreds of
own
thousands.
golf courses, you know, ask the Tumwask. It's not a money-making deal, okay? It's not a money-making deal.
No.
So that's what I like to say, just status quo, and let's keep rolling on this. And
All right, so a lot has been said tonight. If you have referrals or recommendations or concerns about the lease, you've heard a couple things, just put them in email to me, please, and I'll get them printed out, and we'll take all that into consideration when we meet next to try and firm it up a little bit.
When will be the next meeting?
I don't know yet. Not tomorrow.
I've advocated for standing committee meetings, but
I know.
nobody wants me to advocate for that any longer, so.
But it'll be posted. And
When I
I'm
get
pretty sure
involved
you'll
in
get word of-
something.
You'll get word of it going.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I feel like it would benefit the public, because then they would know when we were discussing things, and then it would always
that's
be the
true.
same time, every single month, or twice a month.
If you subscribe to the city calendar, you can get a notification that a meeting's been posted. But a lot of times they don't get posted till
Till after the
24 to
meeting
48
or right
hours ahead of
before the
time.
meeting.
Well, that's because I have to call Paul and Elizabeth, they have to get off from work. I have to arrange my schedule too.
No, I understand.
We may only have a couple of days' notice that we can arrange something.
You know, I
I
wanna thank
appreciate
you.
all the time you guys spend.
Yeah,
on
I'd
this
like to
stuff.
thank you for the opportunity of speaking here. I feel like the city council meeting, 5 minutes isn't much, and then oftentimes they're commented about, and there's no way to get back into the discussion, and you hear stuff come up after there are commented about what you said, and you think that's not correct, and, it's very frustrating to only get a 5-minute window, so this is.
This is typical of the way committee meetings are run.
And we're
Okay.
also available,
More
and I know
free-flowing.
you've sent me an email and I responded, I hope in a very thoughtful way, but we are also available that way. So
Okay.
if there are things that are at city council meetings that you want to circle back with any specific council member about, you can always email us, and I think that we're all pretty responsive.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
That's good.
But yeah, I think the committee meetings, that's the place where we have the time to go in depth.
I really appreciate Paul and Elizabeth taking this much time out of their day.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for me so much.
Thank you.
All right,
Everybody under fire.
you guys
A
go for
long
action.
lunch.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion